Hello, I'm Marco, and welcome to my truck kitchen. We are in Bruce Peninsula National Park. My friend Sarah is here with me. This is my first stop on a 2-month-long cross-country road trip where I am taking my electric pickup truck and making recipes in national parks.
He's visiting Bruce Peninsula National Park in his electric truck, and he's making mac and cheese. It's Marco Savick, more like Park Go Savick. It's probably worth sharing in the trees.
So here in Tobermory, I am making Tober-mornay Sauce at the Bruce Penne-ninsula, which is jokes for mac and cheese. Today you're going to see a lot more cooking like I normally do at home, where I'm not really measuring anything. It's a lot of improvisation, but there is actually a measured printable version of this in the description below and available on my website, probablyworthsharing.com. You can serve this either saucy or baked. And if you're going to serve it saucy, you just keep 1 cup of the pasta water to help thin things out.
Are we doing saucy tonight?
We're doing saucy.
Great.
The way I make mac and cheese is with a béchamel sauce as a base. To make a béchamel sauce, the first thing you're going to do is melt a couple of tablespoons of butter. You want to use a 3-quart or larger saucepan, and ideally one that is cleaner than mine, but I am camping. You want 1 to 2 tablespoons of butter. Once your butter gets warm and melty and smells good, you're going to add an equal amount of flour. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons and stir that together with your spoon.
There's a tiny squirrel coming up behind you carrying something. Maybe it's doing like a delivery. No, it's under the truck now.
Here you're making a roux, and you want to cook it for 1 or 2 minutes to get the kind of starchy flour taste out and get a bit of that brown butter taste. So it takes about 1 or 2 minutes. Make sure you're stirring so the flour doesn't burn. Once it smells nice and toasty, you're going to start adding the milk. And this is the most important part of the entire recipe, which is you have to add it in stages. For this recipe, I'm only going to use about half of this milk. This is just the container I have for camping. So you want about 6 cups of milk. Start by adding 1 tablespoon. It doesn't have to be an exact tablespoon. What you're going to see is everything immediately turns into this big clump of paste. And if you were to add all of the milk at once, it would actually be very clumpy and lumpy and difficult to smooth out. So you're going to add another tablespoon of milk to stir it until it's blended in. Once it's fully blended in, you can add a little bit more milk, and you're going to keep doing that until you've added around 2 cups of milk. I'm going to switch to a whisk now so I can get some more of these clumps out. The whisk is the key to success. So once you get to a place where it's looking smooth each time you add additional milk, that's when you can go in and add all the rest until you've added about 6 cups. Now you're going to gently bring this up to a boil on medium-low heat. It'll take around 10 minutes. You want to make sure you're stirring very frequently because you don't want it to burn and scorch on the bottom. If you're using a whisk, you want to make sure you get into the corners of your pan. And if it does scorch, just leave the scorched bits at the bottom. Don't scrape them up because they don't taste good. You'll see these slow bubbles are starting to form. That's a sign it's getting to the boiling point. This means the starch in the flour is getting fully cooked out, and it's going to start to rapidly thicken. And you want to cook it here for a whole minute to ensure all of the flour gets fully cooked out. You'll be able to feel when the sauce has changed, and when that happens, you're ready to proceed with turning this into a cheese sauce. At this point, turn your heat to very low because you only need it hot enough to melt the cheese. Add a little bit of salt and pepper, but you're going to adjust the seasoning later because your cheese might be more or less salty than any other cheese. Then add half a teaspoon of cayenne or paprika. You should also grate about a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg in here. Fresh nutmeg is best. I don't have nutmeg because I didn't pack it to take to the forest. The last thing you're going to do is add about 6 cups of grated cheese, which is about 600 grams of cheese. I really like using... Squirrel. The squirrel is very excited about the cheese. That's quite the bird. And it's best if you use a different mix. So I have some old cheddar, some Gouda, and some Swiss. And using a melty cheese like Swiss is really good because it helps bind everything together. But use whatever cheeses your heart desires. The bechamel sauce will do the rest of the work. I have this handy handheld cheese grater that I'm now going to tediously use to grate all of this cheese. This cheese grater is really good. And you might be thinking, Marco, you were in the woods. How are you getting exactly 600 grams of cheese? The answer would be, I am not. I am putting as much cheese as my heart desires, and then more because Sarah wants cheese. Well, it's good that's getting washed. Once you've added all of the cheese, you want to continue stirring it until it's all melted and integrated into an even, homogeneous texture. Keep this warm until you're ready to assemble the dish, which is going to vary based on if you're doing this saucy or baked. Put it on very low, put a lid on it, or you can set it off to the side, which is what I'm going to do. Then you want to cook 1 box of pasta, 450 grams, per the directions on the box. If you're going to bake your pasta, you want to subtract 1 minute from the cooking time. This is when you should adjust the seasoning to taste, so I'm going to have my taste tester, Sarah, come over and try this out.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh. So texture-wise, extremely thick. Is that cayenne that's in there?
Yes, but the green flakes are actually from the Gouda.
Oh.
Or what green flakes? The orange flakes are from the Gouda.
There's green flakes, there's a lot of flakes.
Yeah, if there's green flakes, it's from the trees.
Ooh, 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 it's delicious. It's like almost fluffy.
Yeah.
It's got a lovely texture. And like a little bit of, I don't know, grittiness or something like that, but like cheese grittiness or something?
Yeah.
Or?
So you get the cheese grittiness from using like an aged cheddar, and the bechamel helps like bind everything. And that's like using some, like aged cheddar doesn't want to melt. And so using it in something like this where you have other melty cheeses lets you get that really intense cheddar flavor, but still in a good sauce. As you can see.
Didn't like it much.
Sarah hated it. She licked the spoon.
We're gonna be eating this for dinner. Oh, you gotta
yeah, cheese grater on the floor.
throwing your grater around.
Yes, we are having this for dinner.
Approved.
So I'm going to put this off to the side and I'm going to try to boil some pasta. If you are making mac and cheese in a forest, make sure you cook your pasta with potable water. There's a potable. Potable? Potable? We don't know. You tell us in the comments. So I'm going to turn that off. Strain out my pasta. Nice. Thank you. Before you strain your pasta, it's really important to reserve about half a cup to a cup of pasta water. Pasta water has this like magical ability to both thin and thicken sauces and make everything really nice. And it's going to be really important to get the right texture to the sauce here. So set this aside. I made my sauce earlier. If I was making this at home and not for a video in a forest, I would just boil the pasta while I'm making the sauce. Mine's still warm, so I'm just going to add it here to the pasta. And now you want to stir the sauce and the noodles together until they're very evenly coated. You want to do this stirring action for about a minute because you're going to see the sauce is really going to thicken up as it intermingles with the leftover starch on the pasta. If you need to thin out the sauce at any point, you can add some of your reserved pasta water, and that gives you a lot of control to get the texture that you like. At this point, you can serve it just like this, or you can put it inside of a baking dish, put it in the oven at 350 for about half an hour until it is bubbling, crispy, and golden on top. It is also a perfect opportunity to cover it with, say, Parmesan, breadcrumbs, lemon zest, and garlic, which also makes it super delicious. I don't want to make this messy because we are washing our dishes at camp.
Cheeky. All right. This looks pretty amazing.
Cheers. So that's how you make mac and cheese at home or in a forest. And Sarah's going to tell you how it tastes.
Sure will. Much above the standard camp fare.
Yes. It's very good.
Delicious.
It's just like, it's creamy, but you get a lot of cheese texture. Because you get to choose the cheese that you're using, like you get so much more like control over the flavor.
And then the sauce goes inside the penne, and then when you put your fork on it, it squishes out the ends. Like a little cheese pillow.
That's how you put the Tober-mornay sauce in the Bruce Penne-ninsula. Are we going to save any for Jordan and Alistair?
If we must.
That is my recipe here in Bruce Peninsula National Park. Tomorrow I'm going to be making soup in Lake Superior. So if you want to follow along on this 2-month-long camping journey, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, which is going to notify you every time I post a new one of these videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Well, Sarah takes B-roll during my exit spiel.
Sorry.
It's fine, it's fine.